Donald Trump is taking aim at the Federal Reserve once again. But this time it's personal. He's pushing to oust Fed Governor Lisa Cook, a mover that could shake the very foundation of America's central bank. Why does this matter? Because if Trump succeeds, it could mean higher interest rates, a weaker economy, and bigger costs for your mortgage, your credit card, and even your job. Today, we're breaking down the battle between Trump and the Fed, and why you need to pay attention. First, let's talk about Lisa Cook. Cook is one of the 12 voting members of the Federal Reserve's Board of Governors. She's an economist with decades of experience, and in 2022, she made history as the first black woman ever confirmed to the Fed board. Her expertise? Global economics, innovation, and financial crises. She's taught at Michigan State, advised the White House, and contributed to international economic policy. In other words, she's not just a political appointee, she's a seasoned expert guiding U.S. monetary policy. So why is Trump targeting her? Recently, reports emerged that Trump and his allies want to remove Lisa Cook, accusing her of being too politically aligned with Democrats and too lenient on inflation policy. Trump has a history of clashing with the Fed. Remember his public attacks on Jerome Powell during his first presidency? But going after an individual Fed governor marks a new escalation. If Trump were to remove Cook, it would send a chilling message. The White House can fire central bankers who don't align politically. That undermines the entire principle of central bank independence. Here's why that matters. The Federal Reserve is supposed to be independent. Its job is to make tough, often unpopular decisions about interest rates to keep inflation under control and stabilize the economy. Politicians, on the other hand, are motivated by elections and popularity. If Trump sets the precedent that presidents can remove Fed officials for political reasons, future leaders could pressure the Fed to keep rates artificially low before elections or push policies that favor short-term political gain over long-term stability. That's a recipe for runaway inflation, volatile markets, and economic instability. So let's break down the risks. If investors start believing the Fed isn't independent anymore, confidence in the U.S. economy could collapse. Markets could panic, bond yields could spike, and the dollar could weaken. That's because central bank independence is one of the key reasons investors trust U.S. debt as the safest in the world. Lose that trust and borrowing costs skyrocket. And when borrowing costs go up, so do your interest rates. The irony here? Trump says he wants lower rates, but his move against Cook could actually result in the opposite, higher rates across the board. What does all of this mean for you? Mortgages. If markets lose faith in the Fed, mortgage rates could rise, making home ownership even less affordable. Credit cards. Higher interest rates mean carrying a balance on your card costs more every month. Investments. Stock markets could take a hit if investors see political interference as a threat to stability. That affects your 401k and retirement savings. Job security. Businesses may cut back on hiring or lay off workers if financing costs jump. In other words, a political fight in Washington could directly drain your wallet. This isn't just about Lisa Cook. It's about the future of America's financial system. If the Fed becomes just another political tool, we lose one of the last lines of defense against reckless government spending and inflation. Economists warn that once central bank independence is gone, it's almost impossible to get back. Think of countries like Turkey or Argentina, where leaders pressured their central banks, and the result was inflation spiraling out of control. Do we really want the United States heading down that road? So here's the bottom line: Trump's push to oust. Lisa Cook isn't just political theater, It could set off a chain reaction that makes life more expensive for everyone. From your mortgage to your savings account, the costs could be real and lasting. What do you think? Should politicians have the power to fire Fed governors, or does that cross the line? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to stay ahead of the financial moves that actually affect your money, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to MacroMentor, and watch our other videos breaking down the biggest shifts in the global economy. Because in today's world, understanding money isn't optional, it's survival.